movie work so well. As a kid, I loved the Buzz stuff and thought the Woody stuff was pretty good, but as an adult, it's the other way around. I have fun with Buzz and the gang's misadventures, but it's the Woody storyline that really hooks me, because it feels independent from the traditional mainstream format of many animated films. I also want to mention The Incredibles, which follows this more indie format for the first half of the movie, before transitioning quite masterfully into a more goal-based superhero finale. But the one Pixar movie that sticks to an indie formula all the way, the one that isn't afraid to tell a more unconventionally structured story than its peers, is Cars 2. I'm not gonna finish that. No. Anyway, before returning to Ratatouille, let's talk about the structure. Independent art house films are much more free with what they can do. They don't need to worry about alienating the audience. I came here to be alienated, damn it. I want a rich cinematic experience I can tell my grandchildren about. I need something more real. Many indie movies are just about life. It's not clear what the end goal is, if there's even any at all. It's just a matter of showing us a slice of life. As a result, the events shown on screen don't have to follow a rigid system of progression like we do in mainstream movies. Captain America can't be at a shopping mall checking out computers, and then suddenly the scene changes to a secret Nazi bunker with a German scientist whose brain is in a computer. We need to know how those two scenes connect to each other. Why he visited Cyber Doofenshmirtz. The plot is the primary focus, and we need to know why he is where he is at all times. But in an indie movie, oftentimes, we're just watching life unfold. No obvious rhyme or reason between how certain scenes connect. We're just shown glimpses of what life is like for a certain person. Okay, so easy example, Lady Bird. One of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And it really doesn't have a plot. We're just following the main character throughout her senior year of high school, watching her conflict with her mother, her experience with 2 different boyfriends, her falling out and reconciliation with her best friend. All of that is captured within 94 minutes of runtime. An entire year filled to the brim with emotional, relatable, wholesome content. It only took 94 minutes for this movie to change many people's lives, including mine. And I feel like it's because the movie isn't tethered to a strict plot. It can focus on character. It feels well-paced as a result. Now, this format takes a really skilled writer to pull off, or else it can become bloated and boring and not very good at all. But when it works wonders. I can't think how many seemingly plotless movies over the past few years have managed to leave an incredible impression on me. And now, we finally come back to Ratatouille. What is the goal here? Remy wants to cook. That's it. And guess what? He gets his chance to cook. Right here. With the soup. By all means, that's the end of the story if we're adhering to goal-based story structure. Okay, wait. Maybe he wants to cook consistently and not just that one time. Well, now he is cooking consistently with Linguini. 55 minutes in, the goal has been completed. But the movie keeps going, because there are characters to flesh out, new storylines to tell, new struggles that continue to pop up over time. That's just how life is. Ratatouille is the only Pixar movie that just centers around characters living life, encountering new struggles and hardships as they go on living. And that's why this is the most sophisticated Pixar movie ever made. Its scenes don't flow one after the other within a consistent plot. They just showcase these people cooking, deepening bonds, discovering things about each other, and so much more. It's unclear how much time passes between each scene, and I love that, because it makes the movie feel more authentic, like we're actually watching glimpses of these people's lives, and not just a journey starring movie characters. This sort of pacing style isn't unprecedented in animation. Studio Ghibli films generally follow this format, for instance, and oh, what do you know, they're generally considered the pinnacle of animation in general by a lot of people. But Ratatouille represents that one spectacular instance where Pixar decided to take a bold risk and create a movie that didn't adhere to the mainstream story structure.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to reorganize.
A more refined, adult tone than any of its contemporaries. A movie that would only grow in esteem over the years before finally blossoming into one of their most beloved and respected. A true cinematic masterpiece. But this movie still needs a climax, and a rather unconventional new villain. At this point in the story, the true antagonist begins to manifest. And believe me, Skinner tried his best, but it's not him. It's Ego. No, not that Ego. Ego with a small e. Ego permeates all of the main characters and drives the conflicts they have with one another. It's exceptionally hard to achieve success without some level of arrogance eventually seeping in. When Linguini finds out he's part of the illustrious Gusteau lineage, Ego begins to set in. Suddenly, he believes that he doesn't need Remy to succeed anymore. He resents being treated like a puppet, and he'd rather listen to Colette's advice from now on. Linguini completely forgets who it was that got him to the place he's at today. That's Ego. Remy, on the other hand, gets mad at Linguini for not acknowledging his contributions to both of their success. But Linguini can't physically acknowledge him outside of calling him the little chef in his head, which sounds quite bizarre to the average person. Even so, Remy expects all the acknowledgement for Linguini's triumphs, ignoring the fact that Colette did play a significant role in helping both of them along. He gets furious that Linguini would dare to call Colette his inspiration as a chef. That's Ego. And finally, we have Anton Ego himself. He is absolutely furious with the idea that Gusteau's is popular again, despite the scathing review he gave it years ago. He's convinced that he is the utmost authority on all things cuisine, and that his reviews and perspectives are gospel. And now we have the masses. Overturning the ruling of the gospel? Why? It's heresy. So much so that Ego has to rise from his coffin-shaped abode and deliver one last death blow to the restaurant once and for all. He believes that he alone is allowed to determine the success or failure of an entire restaurant.
How could it be popular?
That's Ego. And so the critic arrives in person to warn Linguini of his impending call-out post. Gusteau's is gonna be #cancelled for sure. So the pressure is on for both Linguini and Remy, and their ego-driven conflict reaches a boiling point. Remy, who's fed up beyond belief with Linguini, makes a hasty decision and invites his family to steal food. He feels rejected by the human world, so he gives in to his rat instincts. And when Linguini comes to apologize and discovers the heist in progress, he's totally right to get angry. It's such a harsh betrayal, and you can see the guilt on Remy's face. It's clear that he regrets acting so rashly, but at this point, it's too late. So here we have a pretty natural main character splitting up low points. It's not based on any tedious misunderstandings or minor reveals. It stems from a legitimate betrayal, and I think it works really well, even if it is an overused trope. But it's really heartwarming when Remy and Linguini reunite, because they need each other. Remy is done pretending that he's finally ready to be his own cook. Linguini is done pretending that he knows literally a single thing about fine dining and breathing. Together, they reveal the truth to everyone in the kitchen. Oh yeah, I forgot Remy got captured by Skinner. Honestly, this kind of feels like a waste of 5 minutes to me. Skinner already served his role in the story, but the movie keeps clinging to him, and I don't know why. Okay, I can't believe I'm about to bring this movie up as a positive example, but here goes. Even B-movie knew when to get rid of Ken. He served his purpose as an antagonist, and then we see him again in the ending. That's all we really needed from Skinner. Just a similar scene in the ending where we see where he's at. I don't know why the movie kept clinging to him like this. It wants to force Remy into slave labor and have him create a line of Chef Skinner frozen foods, as if anyone's gonna buy that. Skinner doesn't have the same brand recognition and appeal as Gusteau. Oh wait, what am I saying? Did Skinner burgers. Yeah, I'd totally buy some steamed hams from this guy. That sounds delicious. Anyway though, the rats save Remy and he goes back to the restaurant. But like, this still feels pointless. Remy didn't have to be caged up to emotionally reconcile with Gusteau and then tell his family he was going back to the restaurant. That could have just happened right outside the restaurant and nothing in the story would change. But this is kind of a nitpick. Ultimately, it doesn't make a difference outside of being a little embarrassing that the movie still considers Skinner important. Anyway, yeah, truth coming out here is really powerful. Linguini is finally forced to admit that he has no cooking talent at all, despite being the son of Gusteau. He then presents the staff with his polar opposite, Remy, the little chef that came from nothing, yet was able to share his incredible talents with the world. He managed to bring the restaurant so much success, and Linguini hopes that his fellow cooks will accept Remy, as he has. But no one is willing to accept this strange new idea. No one stands behind Linguini, not even Colette. Remy and Linguini are left alone, with a hungry clientele and a stern, impatient.
もっと力先手参ります全力でやってやるぞ始めよう僕に任せ行くわよレッツゴー準備しますふなるパーティーの時間行きます任せてできるかな見せてや力を見せてやろうもっと力先手参ります全力でやってやるぞ始めよう僕に任せて行くわよレッツゴー行くわ先手必勝です見せてやろう
Critic. While the stakes are lower than most Pixar movies, they feel just as high because these characters feel so real, and their absurd situation feels deeply genuine. However, Colette, the staunchest believer of Gusteau's philosophies and ideals throughout the movie, has an epiphany upon seeing Gusteau's message written plainly in front of her. Anyone can cook. Anyone happens to include a plethora of rats, as Remy's dad completes his arc and expresses how proud he is of his son for following his dreams. So he brings the old rat family in to save the day and start cooking while Linguini waits tables. Also, they kidnap the health inspector. It's all just so inspiring to see. Colette returns and cook his dish of choice for Ego, ratatouille. It looks delicious, even though it does sound a lot like rat-patootie, which does not sound delicious. Hey, did you know that if you customize a frying pan in Animal Crossing, you can actually make ratatouille? I think that's amazing. Nintendo gets what we want. Anyway, the dish is prepared and sent out to Ego, and we watch with bated breath as he takes a bite. So let's talk about the character of Anton Ego. As I said before, his name could not be any more fitting. He's a cold, intimidating, pretentious critic who believes that his word on any culinary matter is final.
That was my last word. The last word.
At the very beginning of the movie, we close out a television broadcast all about the life and times of Gusteau, with an anecdote from Ego, dismissing the notion that anyone can cook. Ego expresses the sentiment that no, not anyone can cook, and the screen fades to black. This is the statement the movie wants to leave us with before fading into the story of Remy. This is the movie's direct response to Ego's perspective. It goes on to establish a story where someone is told by the world that he cannot cook, only to prove the world wrong, again and again. Since the movie set up this connection between Ego's perspective and Remy's rejection of said perspective, the only way this film can end is with this culinary confrontation. We must see if Ego will change his mind. And it seems beyond unlikely. He gave the only negative review of Gusteau's back in the day, costing the restaurant one of its 5 stars and causing Gusteau himself to die of sadness. Ego broke his heart. He's going down a path Gusteau can't follow, but Ego doesn't care because he revels in being the ultimate contrarian and crushing dreams. He believes that he is only man qualified to provide perspective, since no one else seems to have it in this bloody town. And once again, this is the most egotistical perspective imaginable. It will truly take a miracle to convince this ghastly man to speak positively about Remy's food. So now, return to the taste test. I've struggled with how to accurately convey my feelings on this scene for the better part of an hour now. It simply cannot be done justice with words. Attempting to do so would honestly just cheapen it. This is my favorite scene in any Pixar movie, and one of my favorite scenes in cinema. And it ends with the critic dropping his pen. The source of his power and privilege and ego to the ground. He's no longer eating this meal as a harborer of judgment. He's simply enjoying a delicious, warm, nostalgic meal as a food lover for the first time in God knows how long. He expresses his compliments to the chef, but Linguini surprises him by telling him the truth. He could have just said, "Thanks, now get out and go give us a positive review." But at this point, he's done lying, and he wants his friend to get the recognition he truly deserves. So they explain that Remy is the true cook. A risky move, for sure, but one that evidently paid off. Everyone loves Ego's speech, because it just rings so true. But I have to admit, after critiquing movies for the better part of 2 years now, the speech takes on an even greater meaning to me personally than it did before I started all this analysis stuff. It's true that the work of a critic is generally easy. I mean, take a look at Shark Tale, an extraordinarily abominable film that's so obviously bad and easy to pick on. It's simple to look at this generally disliked movie and take up a position above it. So easy to look down on its awful characters and broken story and say, what an embarrassing feature film. Indeed, I thrive on negative criticism, which is fun to write and to watch in video form. But the bitter truth I must face is that in the grand scheme of things, the average piece of junk like Shark Tale is probably more meaningful than my criticism designating it so. I mean, my video on Shark Tale had a lot of problems. It wasn't great overall, but even if it was up to the standards of my modern work, there is still more artistry, thought, and care put into the product of hundreds of animators, actors, writers, and directors than a single 33-minute review made by one pretentious 20-something. But there are times when a critic truly risks something, and that is in the discovery and defense of the underappreciated. The world is often unkind to the neglected, the deceptively great, the films that were written off by history. These films need friends. Ratatouille was hardly in need of attention and acclaim upon its release, but generally grew overshadowed by the films that followed it, and even those that preceded it. All these films worthy of praise in their own rights. And yet, to say that Ratatouille in particular has challenged my preconceptions about art house filmmaking is a gross understatement. It has rocked me to my core. In the past, I have never understood Brad Bird's insistence that animation be treated as a medium, not a genre, but I realize only now do I truly understand what he meant. Not everyone can produce a great art house film, but a great art house film can come from anywhere. It is difficult to imagine more unexpected origins than those of the work of genius known as Ratatouille, which is, in this critic's opinion, nothing less than Pixar's magnum opus. I will be rewatching Ratatouille again soon, hungry for more. In my best animated feature ranking video, I lamented the fact that Ratatouille was criminally underrated, and I hoped more people would start giving it the respect it deserves. And, well, I think my desire has come true. I've seen many more people on social media lately praising this movie and talking about how exceptional it is, even calling it one of the best Pixar movies, which it is. Also, I guess that trend of Lev Haskim becoming popular on TikTok helped a bunch. Good job, TikTok, you did something right for once. But ultimately, I think that this film has managed to speak to so many people because of how inspiring and uplifting its message is. That of perseverance, of following your passions, of never letting go of your dreams in spite of all the disadvantages life throws your way. This movie paints a vivid and unconventional portrait of an artist who, in spite of everything, ends up thriving in his quest to follow his dreams. The people who grew up watching this movie as kids are finally at an age where the story speaks to them on an exceptionally personal level, which is why they're revisiting it and discovering just what an exquisite work of art it truly is. In my opinion, Pixar has never made something on the same level of quality and expertise as this film in the 13 years since its release. And after a decade of mostly mediocrity, I feel like Pixar fans are craving something similar to Ratatouille. Something just as rich, mature, and inspiring. If you want proof, just read the comments section of the teaser trailer for Pixar's next film, Soul. This trailer sucked so many people in by depicting an artist pursuing his dreams. It was so uplifting and gorgeous and oh, okay, never mind, I guess it's a blue blob guy now. Okay. Obviously I haven't seen the movie yet. Maybe it will be the next Ratatouille. It's definitely possible, but the fact that such a jarring tonal shift occurred in this trailer, and the fact that people were not happy that the inspirational angle was dropped in favor of says quite a lot about what Pixar fans my age really want from this studio. They want something adult again. I think the backlash was perfectly summarized with this one comment. I wanted this to be more of a Ratatouille, rather than an Inside Out kind of vibe. You know? Yeah, I know. Once again, we don't know what the future holds for Pixar, and I don't want to disparage the amazing works of art they've put out the past few years amongst all the mediocrity. But in my mind, Ratatouille is the cornerstone of how exceptional Pixar can be if they would only set their mind to it. It's an absolute masterpiece and an indication that mainstream media can have all the hallmarks of an art house feature without sacrificing mass appeal. It's truly miraculous that a movie can be this excellent for both families and film lovers alike. And you know what? If Sony Animation can make a legit cinematic masterpiece, then I see no reason why Pixar can't one day make something superior to The Incredibles and Ratatouille. So Pixar, my only advice left to give is...
Surprise me!
Perhaps one day we'll have a conversation about Pixar Animation Studios' new magnum opus. But until then, I'm perfectly content with Ratatouille holding that title. It is, without a doubt, one of the finest films ever to come from the medium of animation. Well, fam, that was quite a journey. And now that it's done, I'm gonna unwind with some food from the pantry. Oh my god! All these rats hacked my pantry security and stole my private data! I mean food! If only I could have secured my data with some sort of lock. Good thing Surfshark VPN exists. An incredible product that encrypts your data and protects you online. Surfshark VPN allows you to access geo-restricted content, meaning you can trick your browser into thinking you're in another country, thus allowing you to access content you couldn't get otherwise. That way you don't have to physically travel to another country to watch that country's exclusive Netflix content, for example. You can also use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. HackLock scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so they can take action, which is an absolutely invaluable feature. Surfshark is also totally unlimited, meaning you can use it on as many devices as you like, even all at the same time. No other VPN allows this. Go to surfshark.deals/Rillis and enter promo code Rillis to get 83% off and 1 extra month of Surfshark VPN for free. It's an amazing deal, and it's even better because it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, you can cancel during those 30 days and get your money back. If you're looking for a great VPN, there's no reason not to give Surfshark a try. Once again, head to surfshark.deals/Rillis and enter the promo code Rillis. Have a great time with Surfshark VPN.
どうしますか？引退ですね。わかりました。引退ですね。
行きます。行きます。任せといて。できるかな。見せてやろう、力を。行きます。全力です。もっと力を。先手必勝です。参りますわ。全力で行く。やってやる。始めよう。僕に任せて。行くわよ。レッツゴー。行くわ。先手必勝。やるぞ。力を張り切り。行きます。張り切りますか。見せてやるよ。始めよう。僕に任せて。張り切りますか。僕に任せて。
どうしますか？どうぞ。どうぞ。
Invincible has returned to us from a long, long hiatus, and with a new season, we have new friends, new foes, and new Invincible Explained videos. Today's video is our first video on Season 2, but feel free to check out all of our previous full character breakdowns on characters like Mark Grayson, Omni-Man, Alan, Battle Beast, and many others. Before we begin, if you enjoy these videos, drop a like. It takes half a second, and it's the only way to tell the YouTube algorithm that more people should see videos from the mighty. The second season of Invincible is primarily going to focus on a character that many people consider to be Mark Grayson's actual arch-nemesis, Angstrom Levy. I know, it's Levy. My old videos said Levy, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about that for the next 10 years anytime I mispronounce anything. And as we begin, keep in mind that this video is not going to cover every single issue, conversation, or action that Angstrom takes, but it will cover the vast majority of the most important elements to his comic history. Additionally, in order for the story to make sense, I may not necessarily cover every event as it occurred in the comics, but rather in a way that presents it most logically. Angstrom Levy was not always a bad guy, but after a freak accident, he became one of the most dangerous opponents Mark has ever faced. So with that being said, today I bring you the complete history of Angstrom Levy. Angstrom Levy made his first comic book appearance in Invincible 16, written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Ryan Ottley. The main version of Angstrom that we as viewers and readers care about was born with the ability to travel between multiple dimensions and points in space-time. There is an infinite universe of dimensions, and he is unique in his ability to create portals between them. However, other than that power, which is awesome, he doesn't have any other special abilities. He isn't super strong or durable or anything like that. When we first encounter Angstrom, he's helping another version of himself from an alternate reality escape the vicious persecution of that dimension's Mark Grayson and Omni-Man. In this reality, Mark has sided with his father, and the two have begun their conquest over Earth. In the show, Angstrom reveals that most realities that have a Nolan and a Mark see them team up to take over Earth in the same fashion. Angstrom develops a plan of action, but the scope is larger than just saving people from Mark or Omni-Man. He begins traveling across multiple dimensions and recruiting nearly infinite versions of himself. Considering there are infinite realities, that means infinite access to technology, cures for diseases, and knowledge. And Angstrom begins his journey with the goal of helping trillions of people across the multiverse. In order to do this, he springs the now incarcerated Mauler twins from their Supermax prison, along with other multi-dimensional Maulers, and he asks them to complete work on a device that will link this dimension-hopping Angstrom to the thousands of others that he's going to recruit. The device that he's building will essentially beam all of the knowledge from these alternate Angstroms into one main one, giving him nearly infinite knowledge from the multiversal expanse. The device itself uses a massive amount of energy, which triggers a security notice to Cecil, who sends Mark Grayson after them. Mark arrives and, admittedly confused, sees the Mauler twins and starts a battle, assuming they are up to their old bullshit again. The Maulers do get the upper hand on Mark and nearly beat him to death before Angstrom attempts to stop them by taking off the helmet of the device that's beaming all the info into his brain. The resulting explosion kills all of the Maulers in attendance except one and horribly disfigures Angstrom. Angstrom pops out of the debris and he looks horrible, just truly awful. He's like a mullet made out of brain matter. It's not good. Angstrom is mortified, to say the least. The man's life goal was just destroyed in front of him by a person who, in his eyes, is evil in many different dimensions. From this point on, Angstrom goes from good guy trying to do good guy stuff to wretched piece of shit who becomes one of the worst villains in comic history. I mean, that's in my opinion. Angstrom vows revenge and disappears into the multiverse to get help for the extreme damage he's suffered. From this point on, we don't see Angstrom for a little bit. Angstrom ends up having his body rebuilt by a race of aliens named the Technicians, and after a few months he returns to Mark Grayson's home dimension, now armed with a ton of new information on him. Mark goes to Africa to visit Adam Eve with his girlfriend Amber, and while they're there enjoying what might be the most awkward lunch date ever, Angstrom breaks into Mark's home and kidnaps his mother and Mark's new half-brother, Oliver. Angstrom calls Adam Eve on her what appears to be a Nokia flip phone from 2003, and he tells her, "Look, you gotta put Mark on the line because it's about to go down. I got your mom and your brother, and I'm kidnapping everybody out here." Mark rushes home to confront Angstrom, who now holds his family hostage. Angstrom reveals he spent all this time since they last met enhancing himself and learning about Mark's behaviors. Invincible rushes Angstrom, who creates a portal to another dimension, slinging Mark into a random dinosaur-infested reality. But the dinosaurs here talk, so that's pretty cool. We learn that Angstrom has prepared a number of realities for Mark to travel to with the hopes that he's gonna die in one of them. If he dies, Angstrom will let his family go. If he lives and he continues to fight, he will continue to hurt or kill them. The second dimension that Mark goes to is the Marvel Universe. We have a whole video on that, and you can check out the link on the screen now to learn about that standalone issue where Invincible teams up with Spider-Man. Angstrom hurls Mark through a myriad of dimensions. One resembles Kirkman's Walking Dead universe, another sees him battling Omnipotus, another sees Mark in the DC universe with the GOAT Batman. But again, Angstrom brings Mark back, but this time Mark grabs him before he can be shuttled to some new dimension. However, it's revealed that Angstrom's body is now significantly stronger and more durable than before. Remember how I said he didn't have any powers? Well, now he has durability and strength. The two start fist-fighting across various dimensions before landing in a wasteland-like desert. The next part is actually really key, though, to understanding Mark Grayson's mentality as a hero. Mark ends up beating Angstrom nearly to death. He sort of loses himself in the moment and thinks that Angstrom is more durable than he actually is. And despite everything Angstrom has done, Mark is very haunted by his actions. Mark wanders around the wasteland for about an hour until he's rescued by that dimension's Guardians of the Globe, who reveal to Mark that while those events happened moments ago to Mark, for them it's been 15 years, and without their Mark Grayson, the planet kind of goes to hell. The Guardians team helps Mark get back to his home dimension, but before he leaves this dimension, Adam Eve tells Mark that she is in love with him for the first time in the series, and this acts as a catalyst to end Mark's relationship with Amber when he comes back. But this video is about Angstrom, and you cannot keep a good dimension-hopping psychopath down. Angstrom's body is recovered by the Technicians again and rebuilt again. Angstrom continues to monitor Mark at his home with these really weird, tiny floating cameras, and Mark eventually ends up catching one, and he believes that it's Cecil monitoring him. However, Robot tells him that this tech is far too advanced. We now learn of the next phase of Angstrom's plan. You see, Angstrom has been assembling a multiversal team of Mark Graysons to invade our Mark Grayson's home dimension. He unleashes this full force on Mark's home dimension in an event called the Invincible War, and he asks them to destroy anything and everything they come across. The goal here is to make Mark's own world fear and hate him even more than they do after the events of Mark vs. Omni-Man. Now you might be thinking to yourself, how did Angstrom manage to recruit a number of Mark Graysons when he couldn't even take one by himself? Well, that's actually pretty interesting. He just promised all of them to use his technology to better all of their lives and expand their own Viltrum empires in their home dimensions. The Invincibles attack, and the battle is horrendous. The destruction is on a global scale, and our Mark has to somewhat retreat after Adam Eve is badly injured. During the final battle with the Marks, Rexplode destroys himself to kill one of the more formidable Marks, and despite the heroes fighting valiantly, they end up losing to the multiversal Mark squad. Angstrom, being Angstrom though, does double-cross the remaining Marks left over, and he strands them in that wasteland dimension from before. After witnessing the death and destruction caused by the alternate reality versions of himself, Mark also begins to question his decision to show mercy to his enemies. Mark eventually does confront Angstrom, overpowers him, and Mark's kid brother Oliver pleads with Mark to finally kill Angstrom once and for all, so he doesn't cause any more death and destruction. Mark ends up agreeing with Oliver, but Angstrom is able to escape. The technicians again fix Angstrom, who lost his hand in the previous battle, but in exchange for their service repairing Angstrom each time he falls against Mark, he ends up owing them. Angstrom now has to spend some time, let's say 30 issues roughly, helping them get set up with a new homeworld and yada yada yada. It doesn't matter, the technicians are never important other than the fact that they fix up Angstrom. We do not see Angstrom again until issue 100, and this portion of the series is called The Death of Everyone, where another villain named Dinosaurus has just completed killing millions of people in flash floods across the globe. He even tricks the rest of the planet into thinking that he killed Mark Grayson, when in reality it was just this clone that he destroyed. It's convoluted, but it happens. Angstrom arrives back in the world only to find that somebody else had already killed his Mark Grayson. Angstrom does eventually learn that his Mark is still alive, and again focuses his rage at the ones closest to Mark. He breaks into Mark and Eve's house, and he holds Eve hostage. Mark arrives home and is instantly transported back to the Wasteland dimension from like 70 issues before this. There, he finds the one remaining Mark from the alternate dimensional versions of Invincible still alive and feeding on the deceased bodies of the other 7 like some kind of Cannibal Corpse album cover. But that's actually not as important as what happens back in the home dimension of Mark Grayson, where Angstrom continues to taunt Adam Eve. And you might be thinking, why doesn't Eve, who's basically Dr. Manhattan, just fight Angstrom? At this point in the series, Eve can't use her powers due to the fact that she's pregnant, and using them might actually harm her unborn child. But what's most interesting here is that Eve does something even more valuable than fighting Angstrom. She actually talks to him. She essentially makes Angstrom Levy realize that he has lost his way. Rather than helping trillions across the multiverse, he's dedicated his life to losing battle after battle against one singular Mark Grayson. Angstrom's memories were all scrambled, and he spent his whole life attacking Mark over and over again for something that didn't even happen. It was his own fault. One line specifically here is extremely powerful, and it just shows how great of a character Adam Eve really is. She says, "Do you ever stop to consider what you could be accomplishing if you stopped blaming Mark for something that wasn't his fault and instead tried to carry on with whatever mission you were trying to do in the first place?" At this point, Angstrom quits. He brings back both Mark Graysons from the alternate dimension and he surrenders. He realizes the harm that he's caused and he gives up. But in a move shocking absolutely no one, the alternate Mark Grayson grabs him and pushes him into a portal back to his own home dimension, and that's that. Angstrom is basically out of their lives from that point on, but Mark is not satisfied. No, not by a long shot. Angstrom has come back too many times. Mark asks Robot to help track Angstrom down across the multiverse, and the two travel to where Angstrom is believed to be. We learn that the alternate dimension Mark has been torturing Angstrom and using his teleportation abilities to expand his own version of the Viltrum Empire. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, wow, this is brutal, even for a guy who caused a lot of death and destruction. But shockingly, Robot ends up double-crossing Mark, and he ends up killing the alternate Mark Grayson, and he ends up decapitating Angstrom Levy, ending his threat forever. This kind of robs Mark Grayson of his vengeance, but I like to think that Mark, after seeing what had become of Angstrom, probably wasn't going to kill him anyway. Now, if you want to learn more about why Robot did that, feel free to check out his individual video, because that story is very long and complicated, and definitely doesn't have as much to do with Angstrom, who's the subject of this video. But that is it for Angstrom. That's how he dies. The last thing I will say is that we do see that Angstrom had a son in the final issue of Invincible, and that his son swears vengeance against Mark for the death of his father, but considering the series is over, I doubt we'll ever get any resolution to that. And that is it for the entire comic book history of Angstrom Levy. I hope you guys learned a lot, and if you did, consider hitting the like button, subscribing, and doing all that other crap that YouTubers ask you to do. We already have a ton of Invincible videos with millions of views, so feel free to check those out on all your favorite characters as well. This has been Nick with Key Issues. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember the motto, Angstrom Levy over everything.
登録ですね。どうぞ。 登録ですね。どうぞ。誰を呼びますか？どうしますか？どうぞ。登録ですね。 どうぞ。登録ですね。誰を呼びますか？どうぞ。登録ですね。登録ですね。どうぞ。 登録ですね。
Tales for Ghost Places.
誰を呼びますか？どうぞ。
Put in Rayma instead.
.どうしますか？どうぞ。
That's just Nelsa and Alma who doesn't have a team, and honestly, Alma can take a break. As for Nelsa, I don't know, I just kinda feel bad for her, I suppose, but there's nothing I can do. Unfortunately.
.どうしますか？休養ですね。
Amiera, Roxa, and I'm pretty sure Inikib. all haven't retired once yet. I suppose that'll have to change.
いってらっしゃい。おや、君たちどうするのかな？あらら、一度受けた依頼を断っちゃうの？あらら、途中でどうするのかな？あらら、途中で投げ出す。おや、何を報告するんだい？あらら、途中で投げ出すとろくな大人にならないよ。これにするんだね。んどうするの？どれにすっかきまこれにするんだね。どうするのか。それじゃ頼んだよ。
お主と何にするのじゃ？装備を変えるのかや？毎度ありじゃ。えい。
How problematic.
お主と何を売るのじゃ？何を売るのなんじゃ？銭を貯めたらまた来るのだぞ。
おや、君たち。それじゃ聞かせてん。やれや、受け取ってよ。
よし。
どうする？おや、何を？それじゃ聞かせてん。それじゃ頼んだよ。
どうしたのかね。どうしますか。どうぞ。
Right, all three of them are here. On the lowest most team, so that makes things easy, I suppose.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Bones 5 YouTube channel on YouTube. A few days ago, I was scrolling through my YouTube homepage and saw a challenge video on FNAF 1 from Chicken Ninja 42. In this video, he managed just to beat the main game of FNAF 1 and Night 6 without using the door lights at all. This is an impressive feat. But what really caught my attention was at the end of the video, where Chicken Ninja says this.
And there we go. Before any nerds say anything about 420 difficulty, it's barely even possible with lights, so it's obviously going to be impossible without.
Knowing how easily exploitable the AI of FNAF 1 is, I knew that I had to attempt and finish what Chicken Ninja started. So in this video, we're going to answer the question, is it possible to beat Five Nights at Freddy's 2020-2020 mode with no door lights? I hope you enjoy. Let's first lay out the rules for this challenge, and there's really only one. You are not allowed to use the door light at any point during the night. I won't be covering anything from nights 1 to 6, as the strategy used in this video will work for all the other nights. So, if you'd like to see the main game, just go watch the Chicken Ninja video. Now, before we can form a strategy on how to take on 420 mode, we're going to have to know how FNAF 1 works. I've probably explained this system about 15 times on this channel, so to make it more interesting, let's try and speedrun the explanation. And go. FNAF uses AI values to determine how difficult the night is. Every set time interval, which is different for every animatronic, the game generates a random number between 1 and 20. If that number is less than or equal to the animatronic's AI value, they will move. To simplify this even more, take whatever the animatronic's AI value is and divide it by 20.
There's only two of
That's
them.
the chance that
That's
they
weird.
move on any given movement opportunity. What was that time? Let's go. I knew something was possible. How movement works in FNAF 1, it was time to come up with a strategy for this night. I had previously beaten FNAF 1's 420 mode using the normal 420 strat. So, the difficulty of this challenge came in trying to translate that strategy to a no-light strategy. The basic 420 strategy goes like this. Set your camera on camera 4B, then enter the loop of door light, camera flip, door light, camera flip. By using the door lights, you're able to check for when Bonnie and Chica arrive and close the doors on them. By keeping your camera on camera 4B, which is Freddy's last camera before he enters the office, Freddy never has a chance to move, as he can only move when you leave his camera. And we never leave him 4B in this strategy. Boxy doesn't actually require you to be looking at Pirate's Cove to make him fail his movement opportunities. So by flipping the cameras up so frequently, Boxy almost never has a chance to move. By staying in this loop, beating 420 is almost guaranteed. But we have a massive problem in this challenge. We obviously can't use the door lights, so we have no idea when Bonnie and Chica are at our doors. And we can't check their positions because if we leave camera 4B with the right door open, then Freddy can enter the office and jump scare us. My first thought going into this strategy was to quickly switch between cameras in order to keep Freddy frozen before he gets to our right ball corner, while also keeping track of Bonnie and Chica. But this doesn't work for a multitude of reasons. First, Freddy can't be stalled unless you stay on his camera. Once he has a successful movement opportunity, which in 420 is every 3.02 seconds, the moment you leave his camera, he's already moved to the next one, with no way to stop him. Even if we were able to stop Freddy, Bonnie is extremely unpredictable with his movements and is really hard to track when just using the cameras. So we're going to have to find a different strategy. Even if I were to use the cameras to try and spot people, it's disabled, because someone's always moving. So, yeah, we're gonna have to just time this out. There's no way to do it in a skill-based way. Now, I'm sure you already know where this is going. It's time for the part of the video where the Bones 5 brings up the stopwatch to make the strategy better. After failing to be good at the game, I had a different idea. See, when Bonnie and Chica are at your doors, they will jam the doors on their next successful movement opportunity. Then, once you pull up the cameras, they jump scare you. This means that they're going to wait at the doors for around 4 seconds before actually attacking and jamming the doors. So in theory, if we just close the doors on the exact intervals when Bonnie and Chica are about to have a movement opportunity, we should be able to always stop their approach and have enough power to survive the night. This concept is often used in green runs, when players will attempt to beat FNAF games with as much power remaining as possible. Take a look at this example from Shooter 25's green run of 26%. He sees that Bonnie is in the door, but knows that he's at the very beginning of his movement interval. So he waits, even pulling up the cameras until the very end of Bonnie's interval. He then closes the door right when Bonnie is about to move in and jam the door, using as little power as possible to keep Bonnie away. We're going to use this same concept, except we don't know where Bonnie is. So we're just going to close the door every single time Bonnie has a movement opportunity, whether he's at the door or not. However, even with this strategy, there are still a few problems. Unlike other FNAF games, FNAF 1 is kind of weird in that all the animatronics have intervals that are slightly off from whole second values. In a game like FNAF 2 or 4, almost everyone moves on 5-second intervals, so it's easy to track their movement using a stopwatch. But having to subtract 0.03 seconds from every single 5-second interval can get overwhelming and confusing really fast. For this reason, a player named Alarix developed an accurate interval timer for Bonnie. Essentially, it converts Bonnie's interval at a ratio of 201 milliseconds per second, or 3.35 milliseconds per frame. But all that we care about is that this number will start at 1000, and once it hits 0, Bonnie's gonna move. To conserve as much power as possible, we want to keep this door shut for as little time as possible. So you always want to shut the door when this number is as low as possible, and open it when it's as high as possible. Though when accounting for human error when starting the timer, I usually ended up closing the left door at around 200 to 150, and opening around 950 to 900. Now, you may think that I'm playing too cautiously with Bonnie. After all, if he's at 20 AI, he should always succeed on every successful movement opportunity, and therefore always come to the office at the exact same time. However, 420 still has RNG in how animatronics can move, as they have an equal chance to move anywhere in their given movement paths. I'm sure you've all heard that Bonnie can teleport in FNAF 1. The reason that people say this is because his movement tree actually looks like this. The arrows point to where Bonnie can move from any given camera, with the green box representing the office door. Bonnie has an equal chance to move on any of these paths when given options, which makes it too hard to predict when he'll be at the door. For this reason, we have to close the door on every single possible movement opportunity. Luckily, Chica has a much simpler movement pattern, and is able to be tracked without ever leaving camera 4B. Chica must go to cam 4B before going to your office door, and within cam 4B, she will always take precedence over Freddy. Freddy is still here, but the camera only shows Chica. When she leaves cam 4B, she's either moved backwards or into the blind spot for the door. Regardless of where she moved, we can keep the right door closed for the next 5 seconds and deal with Bonnie as usual. Then we can open the right door. If Chica is back in cam 4B, then we know that Chica has moved back after reaching camera 4A, and we'll have to close the door again after 5 more seconds. If we instead see Freddy, meaning Chica isn't there, then we know for sure that Chica is not anywhere near the door at this time. This is without a doubt the most complicated part of this strategy, so let me use an in-game example to explain what I'm doing here.
登録ですね。どうぞ。 どうぞ。
Fine. It's this team I can change instead. Now then, let's grind.
気をつけるんだよ。
おや、君たちこれにするんだね。
Oh no, wait, I still have to set their subclasses.
どうする
Whoops.
のかな。これにするんだね。どうするの。それじゃ頼んだよ。
Let's make a save first.
また来たな。主張するぞ。決まったら気をつけていくんだぞ。
どうしたのかね。どうしますか。わかりました。どうしますか。わかりました。 どうしますか？何を習得しますか？どうぞ。わかりました。どうしますか？何を習得しますか？わかりました。どうしますか？わかりました。何を習得しますか？わかりました。 わかりました。どうしますか？どうぞ。どうしますか？わかりました。どうしますか？
Ah, yeah.
わかりました。
Ralph. She can have Harbinger. She won't take advantage of any of these, but she can take advantage of the Miasma armor and the debuff skills.
What どうしますか? What 何を習得しますか?
Oh, damn.
What どうしますか?
Where do I have Olin Melee in?
どうぞ。
Much everyone there doesn't have any subclasses yet.わかりました。 Yeah, I'm gonna start recording here. I'm just gonna resume the recording when it's finally time for me to go back to actual dungeon exploration. I'll do the grinding off screen too.